Run it up, check the scope, money talk, money mo. Yeah, main crew say they weed it, kicking down the door.
Hey guys, happy Monday. What's going on? Welcome back to Trader on the Storm. I'm your host, and the purpose of this video is to discuss the most coveted price action happening tomorrow, and that is the NVDA earnings. So, I'm here to cover what my thoughts are and how I think you're going to love what I'm going to talk about. And I believe this is very important to know before the earnings. So, I've been doing a lot of research on this one, and I watched the charts. I've been doing a lot of reading about what the analysts are talking about, looking at the options flow, and I have some thoughts. And I think they are genuinely going to surprise you because most people are coming into this earnings with the same old playbook. Beat the number, stock goes down. That's been the pattern for like 4 quarters straight. But I think this time it's going to be different. This time it's going to be different. That's what I feel. And I'm going to tell you why. And what I am personally looking at doing with my own money. So, first of all, the China situation. Why it's not what you think, and why I think NVIDIA actually goes up. My long term price target, that might blow your mind, and the two option trades worth looking at. So let's go. The first thing is the China situation. Okay, so Trump's team approved limited H200 chips sales to Chinese companies, right? Now that headline hit, and people were like, "Oh, this is massive for Nvidia, huge bullish catalyst." And that day, the stock ran approximately those 2 days. Stock ran approximately $15 from 220 or whatever to 237. Like I think that was the range in which the stock ran, right? And the part that didn't get as much coverage was after the summit, Trump came out and basically said China itself is pumping the brakes on the purchase. So China is not going to buy. So China is not going to buy those chips, and they're going to do their own technology, blah, 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 right? So basically, they're saying they're going to do their own domestic chip guys, support, um, whichever their own companies do. So it's kind of a mixed bag, right? It's not like anyone who reads that story says, okay, this is not a clean bullish story. And that's the reason the stock came down sharply, right? But I think what matters more than China is explained perfectly by Brad Gurnisarner from Altimeter Capital. He basically said China is icing on the cake right now. There's already $1 trillion of demand logged in from big hyperscalers, the likes of Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, over the next 6 to 8 quarters for both Blackwell, Blackwell and Vera Rubin chips. Vera Rubin chips. And so China isn't going to move this stock. The AI infrastructure build out is moving this stock. Keep that in mind when you see the China headlines flying around tomorrow. So, this is very important to know, guys. Do not overplay this China situation, is my 2 cents. Okay. The second most important thing, I think this is controversial for the most part, but this is what I believe. I think Nvidia will beat tomorrow. So I believe most of the people agree with me that Nvidia will beat tomorrow. Nvidia has been beating and it will beat tomorrow as well. And but for the first time in several quarters, the stock, the stock is going to go up. And let me explain why. At the end of the day, it's the valuation that matters. The valuation, right? And that matters so much. So right now, Nvidia is trading at 15 times its forward earnings. 15 times its forward earnings. And for a company that is literally building the infrastructure for the entire AI economy, right? So infra for entire AI economy. 15x is crazy cheap, guys. It's like genuinely cheap. So Brad Gurneserner, I don't know how to pronounce his name properly, but this is how um, it spells, and you can go check it out. Brad Gurneserner. This guy pointed out, and it kind of stopped me in my tracks. So AMD was ripping, right? AMD was ripping after earnings. Broadcom, AVGO, and Alphabet, Google ran crazy. Nvidia sat between $170. Nvidia sat between $170 to $210. So it was in this range for what, 6 months? 6 months it's been choppy in this range, right? So it was consolidating. Anyone who wanted it could have had it at the cheapest forward P since before ChatGPT even existed. Think about that, guys. That's huge. Even before ChatGPT existed. So, the second thing that's also very important to note, the buyback. Management just announced 5% share buyback. Why would they do that if they think their company is expensive and overvalued, right? So, this is literally the management saying out loud, we think this is cheap. That's a massive signal that most people are glossing over. Third important reason, and this is a big one, the AI spending cycle is nowhere near done. And this is what most people are getting it wrong. So the AI spending cycle, right, is nowhere to its end, near its end, right? Most companies have not even deployed enterprise AI yet. Most of the companies do not have this yet. And the sovereign AI is barely getting started. Robotics is in its first innings, just the beginning, right? And inference, this is a big one. Inference, which is when billions of people are actually using AI every day. This could be 10 times bigger than the training wave that we've already seen. So every chat GPT prompt, every AI search, every AI agent running in the background, all of that requires compute. All of that compute requires NVIDIA. It's pretty simple if you think about. Okay, now I'm going to talk about what people perceive NVIDIA. It's people think it's just a chip company. So I want to take a step back here because I think this is the most important point I'm going to make in this whole video. So most investors still think of NVIDIA as a semiconductor company, right? So semis. Whenever you talk about semis, the first name that comes to mind is NVIDIA. And yes, it is. They make GPUs for gaming and data centers and all that, right? So that framing is completely wrong and it's costing people money. And I'll tell you why. NVIDIA has become geopolitical infrastructure. Like governments are now negotiating around AI chips the same way countries used to negotiate around oil pipelines. That's not an exaggeration. That's literally what's happening. The fact that Jensen Huang was on Air Force One with Trump, flying to China, sitting next to Tim Cook and the Secretary of Treasury. Like, think about that for a second. The CEO of a chip company is now part of a presidential diplomatic delegation. That doesn't happen with regular semiconductor companies. So, my own discounted cash flow model, and now this is a big one, it puts the fair value at $335 per share. We are sitting at 222. So there's a 50% upside on just fundamental basis alone. And that doesn't even include the inference wave, which is not even started yet. So think about that, guys, for a minute. All right. So now I'm going to talk about the option strategy that I'm going to deploy, or I've been thinking about it. So the first one is for the conservative trader, and that is you can sell puts. I'm talking about cash secured puts, right? So that is for someone who's conservative, and this is how you can play it. So, for example, let's say you sell a 220 strike put, right? And that is expiring May 22nd. So I believe the premium is about $5 to $6 right now because there's always high implied volatility. And so what does that mean? How does it play out, right? So if Nvidia stays above 220 after the earnings, so you just pocket that money, whatever that money is. You keep that money, nothing happens, and you're done, right? Now, if Nvidia drops below 220, what you will have is you will get 100 shares assigned for each contract. And so if you sell a 220 and you get about $6 premium, so you basically are buying 100 shares at 214 bucks, right? Now, if you understand and agree with the $335 price target in the long run, you are buying discounted share right now. So it's not a bad thing at all, right? So think about it. If you want a bit more cushion, you can also do $215 cash secured put. Even you can do 210. So the further out you go, the less premium you'll collect. But this is if you're bullish. The other way to play this is you can do a bull call spread. You can do a bull call spread. So this one is for people who want more leverage, smaller account, or you just want to make a directional bet. So for instance, if you buy the 225 call and sell 235 call. So let's say the net cost I was calculating is approximately $310. So my short-term target is 235. So that's the level where Nvidia found resistance, right? Before the recent pullback. So if we get back there after earnings, you're looking at roughly doubling your money, right? So this 310 will become 620. And the break even in this situation will be at 228, right? So Nvidia needs to be up $6 from where we are right now to make that money. And this is important, right? So whenever you're doing these kind of bets, and this is for people who are watching and who tend to gamble their money, my simple strategy is not to put more than 1 to 2% of your portfolio in these kind of trades. So yes, you understand the fundamentals, but things can always be different than what you're playing for. So you should only play with a certain percentage. And now I'm also going to talk about one more important thing, that what is it I'm going to watch during the earnings. So when the numbers drop, what I'm going to pay attention to The first important thing is the data center revenue, right? Data center revenue. And the street is expecting about $79 billion in that range, total revenue. If data center is strong, that's the number that matters most. Then guidance, right? And so whatever they say about next quarter is honestly more important than what they did, right? So pay close attention to forward guidance. That's what moves the stock. So Jensen's commentary on inference. This is the one I'm most curious about, and I talked about it in my video. Inference. Any so if he says inference demand is accelerating and we're still early, that's the next leg of this trade and it hasn't been priced in yet, right? That this is where the next level of growth is going to happen in this stock. Gross margin is another important thing that you have to watch, right? It needs to stay above 73%. Any compression there and the stock takes a hit, regardless of how good the revenue number is. So, this is very important. And remember, this doesn't just move NVIDIA. That's the most fun part. Tomorrow is a market moving day, guys. The likes of AMD, Micron, AV, Geo, the whole AI game is going to play out tomorrow. So, whatever happens tomorrow night, it sets the tone for everything going into June. So, that's it from me, guys. Hope this video was something of value for you and you'll be able to make a informed decision, a database decision based on what I have presented in this video. And hope you make good money based on the information. Guys, please share, subscribe to my content if you like it. That will give me a lot of energy and boost to post more content like this. And have a great night.